Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Napoleon Total War 3 with this Ottoman campaign. Last time I had a little bit of a feeling, and we got 2 battles done, which were done very well. We were able to relieve the siege of Odessa, but we also managed to capture Kamets-Podolsky. I just noticed quickly looking at the map that the British have invaded this region up here, the Bretagne region, or Brittany region. They do their naval attacks, which is pretty cool. They also still have all these. Now the Spanish deployed a navy, but they're just moving back and forth through this port without actually putting the troops down, which is kind of strange. Otherwise, in the grand scheme of things, not much have happened. As of yet, France has not declared war on Prussia, which I'm kind of hoping they will. Now, they are better friends with me than they are with Prussia, so that's good. Yeah. What we need to do, I think we'll let the army wait here one turn, but then we need to get them going over here to equalize the situation right now. As I went over in the end of the episode, the enemy has 4 full stacks visible at this moment, while I have only 2, so they outnumbered me 2 to 1, which is not great, especially since they got a lot of heavy cavalry, a lot of good guns, a lot of good troops. And as of yet, let's see. I squandered those grenadiers. They're 3 turns away. That's not great. Income is pretty good at this point. Yeah. Let's go ahead and end turn and see if the enemy is ready to counterattack. And once again, the sneaky Slav, Oleg Trubashev, has gone ahead and sabotaged the garrison of Sevastopol. Imagine that. Trade route raided. Well, it's far up here in the north, so we don't need to worry about it that much. We built up barracks in Wallachia, Moldova, and Greece. So we've got a bigger barrack here, the biggest one we can get, up at the front. Lending us some new cavalry units. Veteran Turks. Part of the new model army. We don't have any of those, so those could definitely be recruited. And then we had those barracks that should also give us a bit of extra cash. Not a lot, but it was an increase. Now, what did the Russians do? So the Russian army that was over here moved and secured the bridge, which is unfortunate, because that cuts this army off. And then the army that was here moved and almost took this supply center. I don't know why they didn't. The army over here moved to the bridge, and this army moved to station over here. I mean, we get a lot of trade into here, so it's not super great. Try avoid it or leaving this, but I think we have to, just because I seriously don't want to lose this. And what we have to do, I mean, the Russians are pretty clever. By moving to the bridge, they're forcing me to attack them there, and we'll have to cross the river. We have fought a battle at this river before, and we remember how bad that went. This army needs to start marching over here. So they need to march. It's going to take them 3 turns to get there, so that's the same time as the Grenadiers are finished. And I also noticed we're 1 turn away from getting Army Corps organization, which -2 upkeep costs, which hopefully will do quite a lot for us if we actually take a look at what we're spending. So we're spending 13,000. So that will be 2% though, is not that much, is it? Out of 13,000. But it's something. And the other ones have previously taken such a long time to get. Militia. Militia morale. I don't know if that's useful. Field ambulance might be better. Or maybe grand battery. Accuracy. Logistics 6 turns. Replenishment. And movement range could be very good. Also, it might be very... I've been thinking about investing in changing this manufacturing into another college, just to be able to get technology a lot faster, because we are a long way after everyone else. I don't know how long we are after Russia, which is our primal enemy. So we have quite a few stuff, civic and sort of engineering. Civic and engineering, we're a bit ahead of them. They do have a metric system. But in terms of military, they have logistics, they have general staff. So they move to... Their armies move faster than us. Their ships move faster than us. And they're able to replenish. They're actually moving 4% faster than us. And then they have metric system, which gives them research rate. We are, according to this, our wealth is spectacular though. Compared with Russia, which is only rich. However, our military is only strong, while theirs is terrifying. Given the situation, we're gonna have to pull back. So we're gonna have a battle here. But I think we'll start off with a more difficult one, which is crossing the river with this army. The alternative is, I don't know, there isn't really an alternative, because moving around just puts us in a worse situation. So we're gonna take the bull by the horn and attack. This will have to take some skillful commanding, which this is gonna be a difficult battle, to be sure. But let's not hesitate. Let's go straight at it and take the bull by the horns. It's a river crossing. Most likely we might have to fall back to defend this position here. So we'll make sure to put a lot of stakes as we cross. Not gonna use the bridge because that's horrible to march over. I guess the point we could do is we could try to smash their artillery and force them then to march over to come to us. But we'll see what happens as the battle progresses. I'm gonna charge the cavalry over, because that's gonna be needed if we are to take out their artillery. And we're gonna move some troops around. The barricades I built... Wait, what? What? Ah. Okay. We're not gonna zoom in on that, but... Oh! Right. For some reason, going over the barrier killed the cannon. I don't know if... God damn it. Great. I lost a perfectly functioning cannon, and basically my plan for canister at the river crossing is now kind of broken down. Also, I note that where is their artillery is way over there. That is actually doable, being able to charge that. We're gonna see if we're able to put any spikes there. And then we're gonna put one line here. So that's definitely doable. I don't even know if we need all 3 units to do that. We might only need the Tartars to do that. And then the other 2 could be hidden in the trees up here. And then they could be called upon to attack down against the enemy once it looks like we're winning and we need to kind of clear away all the enemy over here. Alright, so we're setting spikes. That's good, we're setting spikes. Where are these 2 units going? Okay, one of them was supposed to go here. We'll put one back here. And I guess we'll put you 2 back here. I made a little bit of a trench line. Right. Tartars. It's gonna go ahead and suicide themselves. Straight onto the enemy cannons. Shooting at those sappers. Right, the archers are done with their stuff when we put extra spikes over there. Gonna put archers over here. You gonna be put over there. And now we'll see about hopefully breaking down the Russian artillery. The Russians are sending in their... I think these are Jaegers, mounted Jaegers.
Our men are running, sir.
Okay, the Tartars are retreating. However, kinda looks like the artillery is also retreating. Because I can't see them here anymore. So those are only 14 men left of that horse-drawn artillery. And the other one has only 4! That's great. That's great news. And we got mass of troops of infantry moving to the river crossing. You know what? With the enemy batteries destroyed, we can move some troops out of these positions. And I think also we should tell these troops to hold fire and then wait until the enemy gets closer. The sappers are putting down spikes over here. Not entirely sure what the enemy is doing, because now it seems to be moving really slow. What's... Oh! A Jaeger unit has snuck across the bridge. And is now firing into the side of my howitzers. How sneaky! Sneaky, sneaky Russians. I didn't think the AI would use the bridge. They have actually killed quite a lot of the crew. It could be cannon fire as well. Oh no, you know what? It is musket fire. And then with the general close by, I'm hoping my troops will hold. And I mean, we've got 500 men, more than 500 men, against 100 Russians. And it looks like we're gonna get a good volley off against them. Killing 15, almost 20 actually, in that first shot. See if these guys want to fire as well. And they're firing up in through the flank. We've lost 30 men, even more. You know what? In the long run, a firefight against the Jaeger unit isn't really gonna work. Oh shit, the Russians are moving across. And I forgot to tell my troops to open fire. The bloody cavalry just charged through all those spikes. And still coming at us. Right, we're hoping that those Jaegers don't come back. Tell the men to hurry. So it's not a super major attack, I must say. We have brought down their artillery, so I'm not entirely sure why they're not sort of going, sending everyone in. Kind of almost looks like they're sending more troops to go over the bridge. Of course these guys are coming back. I'm gonna send one unit. Might want to actually take this unit all the way up to the bridge just to check their advance over there. Get somewhat of a good FPS from this range, but if I go closer it tanks quite badly. The archer units would actually be quite useful if they would fire more like, if they would actually give a rain of fire, of arrows. Hold fire, let this one charge them down, and then we'll go all the way to the bridge, make sure no one's crossing. The front line is holding. We do have... what's this? It must be those Cossack Lancers, which for some reason look like they're coming straight out of Empire Total War. Okay, those guys hopefully are not coming back. You will march all the way up here. Make sure that no one crosses. And now the general goes back to the bridge. It isn't that difficult because the Russians are just trickling over the river. We've got a unit. Is it? Yeah, it's enemy units. Oh, it is actually a fighting unit that moves through. Strange. I don't want to call them in until the end. I want more of these guys coming in into the trap. Quite a lot of Russians are actually standing there on the kind of on the other side, firing at us. I wonder. What if I move... Oh, now we've got quite the massive force coming in. Of Jaegers and infantry and stuff. That is the one we're going to charge. It's gonna take a while though. So, kind of when the major part of this is in here, that is when I send the cavalry. Because it's gonna take a while for them to ride all the way from up there down here. But once the enemy's in the water, it's gonna take too much for them to actually march back across to try and defend. So they're stuck being fired from here while the cavalry comes down from over there. It's time, I think. Send the cavalry units over. And I have no canister to dispel the attack, so it's just gonna be down to our musket fire. And howitzer shots, of course. Blasting those Russians. Well, here comes the cavalry. Try to avoid the general. We're not gonna ride him down just yet. And now the cavalry comes in to block off the Russians. There's no retreat. Try to go through all of it. And then the explosions of the howitzer in the middle there, forming a square. 2 squares, actually. Which just means that they can't push down that much fire while everyone trying to retreat across the river gets cut down. They do have one area where they can escape, and I'm gonna block it. There's gonna be no escape. This is an open field battle, so we want to kill as many of them as possible so we don't have to face them again. Cavalry haven't suffered that many casualties than one might expect for fighting against squares. But then again, the squares haven't been able to fire at us. I'm able to go a bit closer. Single Russian square is holding. Or is this a Jaeger unit? Cavalry has gone too far in. High risk of friendly fire. They're gonna move against those Jaegers instead. Pretty sure this square is about to break in a second now, anyways. Continue on to the Jaegers, if you please. There goes the square. Even before my howitzer shots land. Gonna fire on this one. Cavalry is not very happy with its situation. They've lost a lot of men. I'm gonna send them after the retreating troops. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these And we're gonna drag a line along the river. And fire on the enemy that way. See if I can actually move up the general, possibly inspire the cavalry to keep fighting. Now we take up position on our side of the river and open up fire on the enemy. And on those retreating troops. So many Russian soldiers lie dead on the field today. Let's see. Cavalry is tired and concerned, but there's only 2 units left. Charging them in their back, and it's all over. It's a bit strange that it's smart spikes, because the spikes recognize if it's a friendly unit riding over them. So they don't actually impale friendly cavalry. Which I think is one of those things where they probably should. But maybe I shouldn't complain right now, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to charge down all of these troops.
Our men are running.
My cavalry broke. And unfortunately they ride straight through the Russian units and then into our fire, causing massive friendly fire. To the point where the unit is almost annihilated. Put second cavalry unit in from the side instead. Just to force this fire. Oh, I think the general just inspire them. There's no way we're gonna break them then. We're gonna pull back. Pretty decisive victory. Mostly because the Russians didn't push their advantage. And they were slow to react once their artillery was cut down. Imagining fighting like this, and then suddenly an arrow comes flying, and you get killed by an arrow. Or wounded by an arrow. Persistent firing on that unit. Gonna inspire the most forward unit to increase its accuracy and fire rate and all that. And I doubt the Russian unit will stand for much longer. They've lost the Tsar's colors. And then the second now with the second barrage of howitzer shots. Right, since they're not really willing to retreat, I'm gonna charge the Count. And hopefully that will be enough to inspire them to retreat. There we go. Now they're gone. Everyone will cross the river, and I invite the general to leave the field of battle. Let's go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Running down that unit. You know what? General versus general. Who will win? Now we have a 32-man bodyguard though. Against the Russians.
Sir, our general is under attack.
And he was killed in that charge. It's not that guy, it's a pretty old guy, isn't it? There he is. There's Count One. He seems... Wait. He kinda... Nah, I was about to say he's happy, but he's kinda like, ah, shit. We had to turn in from the underground to take a look at it. With our troops now crossing the river, we should be able to take a closer look. Since I wasn't really able to take a closer look during the actual battle, we can at least take a look at the mayhem that was caused by the battle. Of all the Russian troops that moved across. Now as we get closer here, we can see some of our men, they got shot as we moved up to the river. But there's just piles and piles upon Russians and Russian cavalry. These brave Russians wasted by the commander. Clever plan though, to move to the bridge and force us to attack. It didn't just go... It just so happens that we were smarter. Old man Turban Head is a better commander. And there we go, the game said, you know what, enough of this, go back to the campaign map, you stupid pup. Victory was achieved with a lot less casualties than I thought. We only lost 1,000 men, which is about 25% of our force. While the enemy lost 2,600 out of the 3,000 man force, and they lost a general as well, leaving only 430 men left on their side. Highest killers goes to the cavalry, which almost killed 600 men, and combined killed about, what, 900 men. And then as we go through it, you can see it for yourself. Highest losses also goes to the cavalry. The Mamluk troop only, they spawned in, or they came in with 164 men. They left with 17. Which isn't that great. We have a few experience gained. 1 there, and 2 for the 1 for each cavalry, and 1 for this infantry unit. But we were able to cut down the Russians, moving into this region, get really good resupply rate. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this cavalry unit away so I can pursue the Russian army out to resolve their remain troops after that. Incredible. Right, but we get massive replenishment in this region. Next battle would be this, but given the time of the video, we're gonna have to end it right here. But yeah, that's a pretty good victory. We smashed 1 Russian army, which at this point means that there's 3 armies versus 3 of ours, even though our 3rd has not yet arrived. Oh, of course. there's another one there. That's probably hiding behind here and up here. But for now, I'm pretty pleased, kinda pleased with the situation. It's still that we're gonna have to leave this region for the Russians to charge in. There's no way I'm gonna be able to hold back Kutuzov and this Russian army at the same time. One alternative, I guess, would be we can't hold this, but instead of attacking here, you know what? No, we're gonna attack here. The Russians, given the position, won't reach to attack us once we have attacked here. Yeah, well, let's see, that's another thing. Someone wanted me to recruit more artillery and more cavalry. And the thing is, yes, I should do it, but the thing is, cavalry is quite expensive. So the Filo cavalry is the cheapest ones I can get, and that's 675. All the others are about 1,000 gold, all the way up to 1,500 almost. Artillery is also quite expensive. But obviously, you know, putting it, I mean, canister oftentimes wins the day in a lot of these battles. So it would definitely be worth it. But you know, if at this point I've managed to kind of save up to 4,000. That's 4 units. 4 artillery pieces or 4 cavalry units. And then the upkeep of these units as well is quite high. So 4 units would take an upkeep, or at least of these. Oh, this one has a higher upkeep actually. Why does this one have a higher upkeep than the better unit? And this one has the Mamluk has a really high up. Oh, then these guys at 250 is not actually that bad. I guess that's no, the size is pretty, the sizable unit. Good melee attack as well. Actually better melee attack than all these others actually. They got better melee attack. They've got a good charge bonus. Some of these charge bonuses are actually deplorable. 2 in charge bonus. That's horrible actually. I mean, a Russian unit gets, I don't know, but 2! This one gets 10-19. Why wouldn't... This unit's actually good, very good. 19 melee attack, charge bonus, morale 75. The recruitment cost is however high, but the upkeep cost is not that bad. 4 of these would cost me 1,000 per turn. I would only be able to recruit 2 though, and it would take 4 turns for them to actually turn up. And I mean, you know, but I mean, compared to the other units, and they had more troops. They had better melee attack, better morale, better charge bonus, better everything. Why wouldn't you recruit those? Might even delete, you know, recruit those guys and delete some of the others, because the Mamluk was pretty expensive. I don't know if he's actually that good. 17 melee attack, and that's with 3 chevrons. He does have range skill, but he doesn't actually fire from his horseback, so... Anyways, bit of a tangent here at the end. As I always say, I hope you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!